Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video. As you can see, I am sat in a very lovely, quiet, that I'm ruining by shouting in this video, rooftop garden in Gran Canaria, having a lovely time, lovely and warm. In fairness, it's a bit hazy at the moment. That is because there is loads of sand coming over from the Sahara, which is making the sky a little bit hazy, not quite as sunny, possibly sunny back in Newcastle right now. I've heard it's been some lovely weather, so I hope everyone's had a lovely little bit of sun today. But we're here to talk about Newcastle United and the hope, massive fingers crossed, that Newcastle are finally starting to wake up and get involved in this summer window. In fairness, we were pretty busy around that PSR deadline. And I think we did a decent job in the end of that. We kept Gordon, we kept Isaac. We're going to talk about Bruno a little bit in this video. His best mate, Joelinton, has now been at Newcastle for 5 years. That's right, 5 years. In fairness, the first 2 or 3 years he wasn't very good, so maybe that's why it feels like it's come around pretty quickly. But big up Big Joe. He's done an interview with The Guardian and spoken about the fact that he's very hopeful that his best mate Bruno will stay at Newcastle, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And as I mentioned, despite the fact that we did well to get rid of a few players around the PSR deadline, it's now, poking Newcastle with a bit of a stick and asking, when are we going to bring a few players in? Well, huge reports coming out of Italy this morning that Newcastle have in fact made approaches for 2 different players, so we'll talk about both of them. But first, be sure to go ahead and hit subscribe. As I mentioned, loads of you guys watch these videos pretty much every day at the moment, but still haven't hit that big red button. So if it's you, give it a click. Help me get that little bit closer to 50,000 subscribers. But we'll start off by talking about Big Joelinton. As I mentioned, big up to him. He was quick to get on social media and say a big thank you to the fans and the football club and all of the love that he's received. As I mentioned, it wasn't always love from the very start. It did take a little bit of time for him to get going, but under Eddie Howe, and I mean, in the article he did with, or the interview he did with The Guardian, he even goes on to talk about the fact that he had, like he does every 10 days, he goes through old footage of performances with a coach and is constantly trying to improve, which is like big up. Bearing in mind, he's playing for a Premier League football club. He shouldn't have to do that. He should have all of the, everything he needs should be given to him by Newcastle, but he still wants to push and push and get better and get better. I mean, under Steve Bruce, maybe he needed it. Maybe everybody needed it, the extra help. But you'd imagine under Eddie Howe he doesn't, but he's continuing to do so. So big up to him. Obviously he signed his new deal not too long ago, which is fantastic news for both him and us. I think it's fantastic news in the terms of Bruno as well. If Joelinton stays, I think that's just like that little extra help of keeping Bruno at the club for as long as possible. And despite the links to him leaving, he actually posted a photo yesterday, I think, out and about with his dad and his son. Obviously hasn't joined up with Newcastle just yet. I believe Newcastle are meant to be playing their behind closed doors friendly against Burnley today, but there's still been nothing reported on it. So either it's a late kick-off game or we're just not going to hear anything. I imagine that something will be reported very, very soon. It's thought that Tonali will be available to play in that game as well, which is big for us. But as I meant, but the likes of Bruno, Gordon, Trippier, Shaw is also on holiday at the moment, enjoying himself, who have all been away on tournaments. Hoping they will be linking up with the squad, if not in time this weekend for the game against Hull, definitely for Japan. And big words from Joelinton with regard to Bruno. He said that he believes he'll stay. Basically, he said that I think he is going to stay, and he believes he is very happy in both life and football. We've seen that Bruno has seemingly settled in very nicely at Newcastle. I think having someone like Joelinton here has been a very big help for that. But having your best mate come out, and I mean, for him, as much as it is us, it's probably him. Joelinton's going, please stay, Bruno. Don't leave us. I'm sure all of the Newcastle players would say that, just as the fans do. Joelinton texting them every night, please don't leave us. Yeah, I think it's looking good at this moment. We've got past the because Bruno had the release clause, the £100 million release clause. It looks like we've kind of gone past that. He's gone away with Brazil, and everything's gone a little bit quiet. And as I've mentioned, Darren Neal has said we've complied with all the PSR. We've no reason to let Bruno go. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to accept an offer. We don't have to let Bruno talk to anyone now. We don't need to do anything more for PSR. So anyone comes in and offers us 100 million, we just go, no, not for sale. I think it's all about going out and bringing players in now. But Joelinton did go on to say that he also... he loves the fans, he loves the club, and then he wants Eddie Howe to stay as well. Obviously, lots of news with Eddie Howe in England. Joelinton was quick to say that he urges Eddie Howe to also stay at the club. So it sounds like he's having a good time. It sounds like he's very much preaching for the best people to stay at the club, which is exactly what you want to hear. And God, has he improved at this football club? The talks are continuing to be that Trippier looks like he will leave. I did a video earlier this week talking about the fact that he's linked to leaving for around 15 million to a Saudi Arabian club. I know Jamal Lascelles is the captain, but Trippier is the on-field captain. I think Jamal Lascelles will probably keep the captaincy for as long as he's at the football club. I think Eddie Howe's made that decision and will continue to do so. But I think if Trippier did leave, it will be a good question who becomes captain. I think it will be Shaw. I think he'd possibly give it to Shaw, but I think Joelinton's a good shout. I know some people say Bruno, and I back that as well. I think on the idea of trying to keep Bruno at the football club for as long as humanly possible. I think giving him the captaincy is also not a bad idea. Generally, Bruno's quite emotional, but in fairness, had been very good at the end of last season to not even get a single yellow card. I like Joelinton. I think I would back that one if it was Joelinton to be captain. He's just signed his new deal. He's clearly here for the long term, certainly for the another full length of a contract. I back Joelinton for captain. Let me know your thoughts on who you think could be captain or playing captain, or whether it should be Lascelles still. Down in the comments below. If it's not Trippier, who do you think it should be? Could it be one of the it won't be, but two of the new players who've been heavily linked with this morning? One of which, in fairness, has been doing the rounds for a little while now, and it is the 22-year-old centre-back Malik Thiaw at AC Milan. I mean, Tonali was being linked back to AC Milan. What did it say about don't take Tonali to AC Milan, bring AC Milan to Tonali? Doesn't really sound as good as the Richie one for Bournemouth. But anyway, we've been linked with a couple of centre-backs over at AC Milan. They were looking to bring one in, and it looks like Newcastle are close to making a bid for the player. They reckon that AC Milan want around 40 million. A couple of places have said that Newcastle have actually placed bids already and have been rejected. But more recent reports coming out of Italy, Sky Sports Italy, that is, it is Damasio who's reporting it. So it is Sky Sports. It does seem to have a bit of legs on it, and this one has been kind of whirling around for a while now. It's thought that Newcastle are basically in for the player for around 30 million. AC Milan want 40 million. Can we come to an agreement on 35 million? Bearing in mind, AC Milan only paid 8 million for him from Schalke just a couple of years ago. So I think it would still be a very good profit for them, and would be a player that we could bring in and straight away have some support on that right-sided centre-back. It's interesting, isn't it? Because it's just, we're in kind of a strange place. Botman, by the way, has been seen kicking the ball around again. That's got everybody excited. He wasn't expected to return until Christmas time. It's thought he could come back sooner now, maybe not far off the start of the season, maybe October, November. Obviously, Eddie Howe's not someone to push a player too early, but bearing in mind that Botman's to come back, Lloyd Kelly's in there, Burns really a centre-back and was good at the end of last season, Shaw's on the right-hand side, Lascelles is injured, but he's there, and I've got millions of centre-backs, and yet we kind of want another one, and I don't disagree with it, because as good as Shaw has been, he is at the later stages of his career. His contract is starting to wind down. I think we'll probably give him an extension, and I think he'll be fine this season, but if he did get injured, it's Lascelles, you know, on the left-hand side. I think it's going to hopefully be Hall at left back with Kelly backup left back. So then I guess the left side of centre backs are Burn and Botman. I would rather Lascelles was like fifth choice centre back. Nothing on the guy, but I think bringing Thiaw in as that extra help on the right side is a good one. So although centre-back is key, I think what's really key is the right midfielder, right winger, really. We've been linked with Bowen from West Ham, which I massively approve of. I think he's a fantastic player, probably the best player in the league on that side. But West Ham are looking at, wanting about 100 million for him. And as much as Newcastle have satisfied PSR, I don't quite know that would go out and spend quite that much on him. The player instead, again linked from the Italian press this morning, is Nico Gonzalez, the 26-year-old right winger from Fiorentina. Strangely enough, or what's being reported is that the Fiorentina fans pretty much expect him to leave this summer window. I think he's been a very, very good player for them. In fact, won Copa America with Argentina. 2 weeks ago or a week ago, whatever it was. So a very highly rated player, and it's pretty much expected that he will leave. Now, they bought him for a fee of around 20 million a couple of seasons ago now, and they are obviously looking to make a profit. Now, it's thought that, I believe, Brentford made an offer of around 35 to 40 million for him last summer or the January, and it got rejected. And the reports coming out from Italy are that Newcastle's fee is around the same, kind of 35 million mark. So 35 million on Thiaw, 35 million on Gonzalez, coming to around 70 million. I don't know how much Newcastle have to spend this summer window, but I will be surprised if it's hitting over 100. I don't know. We've satisfied PSR, so technically speaking, we can go out and spend big. But I think it's the fact that we haven't, or we are slow to do so. Bearing in mind that there's been a lot of change. Paul Mitchell's getting his feet under the table. I mean, he's not. He's been in bloody Germany, so he's going to have a struggle to do it from over there. It'll be interesting to see whether Paul Mitchell does actually go out to Japan with Eddie Howe and the players, or whether he's actually tasked to get into his office in St. James's Park and start to get some signings over the line. But it's good to hear that and that's the other thing, is all of the local press, as it were, has been over in Germany as well. So kind of the people who would normally be given the hints, the reports and the talks, I think Keith Downey's been on holiday actually, but I know a lot of the local journalists have been over in Germany, which I think is why kind of the media side of things has been a little bit slow in the transfers, and why a lot of the news is really coming out of Italy, strangely enough. But still Sky Sports and still some good sources out there. But we'll have to wait and see. Let me know your thoughts down below on Joelinton and his 5 years at Newcastle. Is Bruno going to stay this summer? Should we give him the captaincy if Trippier does go? And thoughts on the centre-back, right-winger, Italian duo that we have been linked with today. Thanks for watching, guys. Drop a like, subscribe. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll catch you later.